Hey there, welcome to episode 3 of Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting and other crafts. I'm Nicole, and you can find me as Prof Purl on Instagram and Ravelry. There's a Ravelry group, Professor Purl, that you can join as well. And I have a email, profpurlpodcast@gmail.com. I've gotten my first few emails already. And also there's about 20 people that have joined the Ravelry group. So I'd love to have more people head over to Ravelry if they can, if they use Ravelry. There's a thread for introducing yourself, and there's also a thread for questions for the channel if you have them. So thank you so much for the support for the channel. I have just really enjoyed reading the comments, and I've tried to reply to all the comments, and I've received some messages on Instagram, and it's just been incredible to feel like you're making friends through putting yourself out there. And so I wanted to share a funny story, which is just yesterday, I ended up meeting somebody online who's also a knitting podcaster on YouTube. It's two friends, and it's called Between Knits and Pearls. And one of the Between Knits and Pearls podcasters, Stephanie, initially reached out to me. We were just chatting, and it turns out that she grew up where I live now, which is south of Portland in wine country Portland, Oregon. There's several Portlands, I guess. So in Portland, Oregon, south there in wine country, she grew up in this area. And not only did she grow up in this area, but her fellow podcaster, I think her name is Emily, her alma mater is like where I teach because I'm a professor. And Stephanie's sister is my yoga instructor. And that's the kind of connections that I'm making through this YouTube channel. And so it's just been amazing. And so I just want to start off with the giveaway from last episode. So what I did is I went back to episode 2. I looked at all the comments, replied to everybody's, and I counted how many comments there were, and then I used a random number generator, and then I started at the top of the list and counted down. And so the giveaway was for this hank of Hedgehog Fibres sock yarn from my stash. I knit a sweater out of it. I showed it last episode, and I had this leftover hank, and it's in a colorway called Iris, which is kind of like pinks and blues. It's kind of blowing out here. It's not quite so, this is pretty accurate here. So I used my random number generator, counted the comments, and found the winner. So the winner is Melanie Dodd. Congratulations, you won this hank of yarn. So if you could send me an email at profpurlpodcast@gmail.com, and we can connect, and I can get your mailing address, I will mail this to you. I think I want to make sure that I'm getting these giveaways out on a timely basis. So the deadline for contacting me will be Monday, September 6th, 2021. So if you contact me before the end of the day on that day, I'll mail this out to you. And if I don't hear by the end of the day, by Monday, September 6th, I will draw another winner from episode 2's comments. So thank you so much for supporting the podcast and watching. And thank you to everybody who watched or subscribed or commented or anything like that. And it just was a joy. And I've just really been feeling just so blessed, honestly, by this community that I actually want to do another giveaway. But I'm going to save like what that giveaway is until a little later in the episode when it kind of flows with one of the sweaters I'm working on. So stay tuned, there's gonna be another giveaway. I'm so excited about that. I just realized that I don't have anything for my Sip Sip Knit segment, and I wanted to do cheers to having no FOs, no finished objects, and I have like literally nothing to cheers. So I'm gonna go put some water on the stove, make tea in the middle of this. I'll edit out the time me getting up. I'm back without a cup of tea with my teapot. I'm heating up the water now, and once I hear it's ready, I will go over, and this is my teapot, and I'll pour the water in on top. And yeah, what do I have in there? I've already had this, I think, the first episode, but it's the peanut butter cup tea from David's Tea. Oh my gosh, it smells so good from here. And what I love these tea makers, this one is from Tivana, but David's Tea has one. There's several you can find on Amazon, I'm sure. And you essentially just pour your water, you put your loose leaf tea in here, you pour your water on top, shut it, let it brew for a lot of time you're supposed to. And then when you put it on top of your cup, the tea just comes out the bottom. So I really envisioned doing like a cheers with my cup of coffee for having no finished objects this episode. And then I drank all the coffee, and then I sat down with nothing to drink. So here we are, but we'll have a cup of tea here soon. So why do I want to say cheers to no finished objects? Because I still have plenty of knitting to talk about. And also, one of my worries about starting this channel was that I would put pressure on myself to finish projects like for the sake of showing them on the channel. Of course, that'll be fun when I finish things to show, but I also really enjoy knitting the process, and it doesn't have to be fast for me to enjoy it. And so I don't want it to feel like I have to finish something for the channel. And so I'm feeling like I have a lot to talk about, a lot of really neat things to share, even though I didn't finish knitting something since the last episode. I did a lot of knitting though, and I do have some well-worn knits from the past to show you eventually. So I have 4 works in progress to show you, and I would say 3 of them are active. And so the first work in progress I want to show is my Ankers tee. I think I mentioned last episode that I wanted to join the Ankers Obsessed knit along that Fiber Bound and this Natty Knits podcast are co-hosting together. And you can go to either one of their Ravelry groups to check out the rules of that. But essentially, I think you can knit any Ankers pattern, and I think the deadline is October 9th. I'm not exactly sure. Again, go check out the details there. And I mentioned that last podcast that I wanted to make this tee. It's a DK weight tee, and I wanted to make it out of Cedar House yarns that I had in my stash, and I ordered a 4th one. So I'm still waiting for my 4th ink to arrive. So I want to see what the tone of that looks like before I cast on. So I'm just waiting to cast it on. But while I waited, I swatched. And so I did start the tee because I did my measurements. I picked a size, I highlighted my pattern, and I swatched. And I just think I'll hold this up so you can see it. It is like, I just think it's gonna be so good, and I love the fabric. So did I get gauge-ish? What I mean by that is when you do gauge on your gauge swatch for a sweater, there's 2 gauges usually given. There's the stitch gauge, so like how wide your stitches are, and then the row gauge, like how tall your stitches are. And so I got this stitch gauge, which was in about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. I was supposed to get 20 stitches, I think, and I got that. But I did not get row gauge. So the row gauge, I think I was supposed to in 4 inches or 10 centimeters get 28 stitches, and I instead got 26. So my row gauge is slightly off, but I love the fabric, and I pretty much mostly care about stitch gauge, which is like around, because I can always knit things longer or knit things shorter and adjust my armholes, but I can't change the width, and so or like the circumference rather. So I mostly care about stitch gauge, and I will be a little bit more loose about row gauge. And as you can tell, I do love swatching. And I think the reason why I love swatching is because I love when I pour all this energy into a sweater that it fits. And so one way to ensure that your sweater fits is to swatch. Have I knit sweaters without swatching? Yes. And I'll actually show one today eventually that I made and didn't do a swatch, and it fits me. But where I'm at in my life right now, I love to swatch, just part of the process. Okay, the next work in progress I have is the thing that I worked on the most. And it looks like it's off the needles. And it sort of is temporarily, in the sense that I finished the body of the sweater. Okay, hold this up so you can see this really cool tree. So this is a progress keeper from, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It's from Simply Serving. It's a really cute little blue caterpillar. Kind of gives me some Alice in Wonderland vibes. Okay, well, it's really cute. So at the end of last episode, I put my progress keeper in. So that's where I was. And so over the last 2 weeks, I've completed the body. As you can see, the way the body of the sweater is, it goes in here. It's a little bit narrow. It's a different body style than I've knit in the past because it's a fitted sweater, and I normally knit sweaters that have a lot of positive ease in them. And this one's supposed to have negative ease, although I swatched and it said I should have 0 to 2 inches of negative ease, and so based on that, I should knit the size medium. But me being me, I was like, oh, I don't know about this negative ease. And so I picked the size large. So I knit the size large. And so it doesn't fit me with 0 to 2 inches of negative ease right now. But that's okay. I would say it fits me with like probably more than 0. It's not 0. It's like just a slight ease to it. And I feel like it's super wash yarn, so if I want to like wash it and put it in the dryer to shrink it up a little bit, I can. Now that goes against most advice on sweater knitting, so you know, some caution there, but that is a strategy that I will use perhaps. But I really enjoy the way this has turned out, and as I mentioned on the last episode, I was a little bit disappointed with how my tree was coming out, but I'm glad I stuck with it because I actually think my tree looks pretty decent now. At the bottom of the sweater, it looks like it's kind of ruffling here, and that's because it is stretchy bind off. So I love the look of a sewn bind off, but for some reason my sewn bind offs are not very stretchy. Now you can control the tension on your sewn bind off, but I just felt like a sweater that's fitted, that needs to be stretchy at the bottom for me. It wasn't a good choice for me to do a sewn bind off, which I would have thought would look really lovely with this, but I chose to do my favorite way of doing a stretchy bind off instead. And so here we are. And just to remind you, I'm knitting this out of Les Moutons Rouge Knitteries yarn in the colorway Judy's Mint, which is a speckled mint, as you can see, and I love it. I'm so excited. And so I've knit I've used 2 whole hanks, I think. This is my 3rd hank I'm on. And I think I will use this for the collar. Now, the directions suggest doing sleeves next and the collar last. And I actually noticed that in a lot of sweater patterns. But I personally like to do the collar before I do the sleeves. And the thought being is I like to try my sweater on. And so like having the collar done, I feel like affects how my sleeves fit me. So anyway, I'm gonna do the collar next and I'll probably use this. So a couple more things about this. I did alternate skeins from about, I think about here. I started alternating skeins to about where the ribbing is. I alternated skeins. And when I was doing it, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make a tutorial video. And so I've made my first tutorial video for this channel on how I alternate skeins of yarn. And so you can check that out if you want. One comment about that, I'll leave it brief since you can watch a whole video on it, but I watch a lot of YouTube and I really notice most knitters talking about the way that they alternate skeins in 1 of 2 ways, where they carry the yarn up the side of their garment, which leaves sort of a seam on the inside, or I hear about them talking about knitting helical knitting, which requires you to sort of like change your beginning around sort of. And my tutorial offers a 3rd way of doing this, which is, I'm calling it the easy alternator, which is it's like alternating your yarns in a very simple way, sort of up the side, but like just a little bit extra, sort of like just switching your yarns, essentially pulling one in front and then switching it back and forth like this. And it does not leave any kind of, I guess I'll show you the inside. Doesn't leave any sort of seam up the side. I actually can't remember what side I did it on. So I'll show you the other side just in case. It doesn't leave any sort of seam. And so I think that's really neat. And I was really excited to share that tutorial on my channel, and it was fun to make my first tutorial. And after sharing it, Alexandra from Fiberbound podcast, she commented that and reached out to me on Instagram and said that she uses that method too. So I'm not the only one. And so I was like, this community, it's so fun. You sometimes feel alone. Like I was feeling like, gosh, I've never met anybody that also uses this method. Why is everybody talking about helical knitting? This way is so easy, this other way. And here's somebody else uses it. And she said that she mentioned it on her 7th or 8th episode. I haven't had time to go back and look and read to tell you whether or not it's her 7th or 8th episode that she talks about it. But you should go check her podcast out if you haven't yet. It's one of my favorites. I basically started at the beginning and then I couldn't wait to see what she was working on now. So then I flipped to where she is now, which I don't remember what number it is. And so there's this like little middle chunk that I haven't watched yet. And like, does that happen to you when you're watching YouTube podcasters where you might like watch the most recent ones, but you don't get to go all the way back? I just think it's fun to like get through everybody's episodes if you can, if you have time. It can be so fun to see people's knitting journeys. Okay, I'm digressing here. I'll back on track. So I have one more thing I want to share about this sweater. So since it was more of a fitted sweater and I wanted to make sure that the length was going to be right for me because I didn't want it too long and I also didn't want it too cropped. I wanted it just right, just the right amount of crop where it's going to look really excellent with the dress, but I can still wear it with jeans, like high-waisted jeans. So basically I knew that I needed to try this on. So I did buy something, and this relates to my giveaway. I went to my friend Kelly's yarn store online and I bought, well, it's a brick and mortar store, but I went to her website and I bought these things. They're called Purl strings from Minnie and Purl. I don't know if you'll see this. I guess it's not important. It's just a tin. And they come in this tin and I picked the color peach. I know. And they come with like 4 of these purl strings. Here it is. It's like this tube. And this is essentially how I decided to try this garment on. I didn't have something really snazzy like this before, so I would like risk it and let my stitches fall off of my needles before, or I would like take the time to take a scrap piece of yarn and put that on. And this was so incredibly easy. It was mind-blowing. All I did was just take this little tube and stick it really kind of good on my needle. Boop. And then I took this needle here and this, and I went like that. And then there was this extra, so plenty of room, and I just put the sweater on. And when I did that, some of the stitches obviously like came off this needle, but this stayed really secure. Look at that. And so then I was able to try it on. And then all I did then is just like pull this so that the stitches were back on. This took seconds. And then I just popped them off. So I was like, this is such a game changer. I'm going to try on all of my things. Maybe people have been trying on their sweaters as they knit them all the time, but I haven't, just out of like laziness. So I would just honestly just gauge swatch and kind of hope for the best. And I've knit a lot of sweaters. I've only tried on a few, but now I feel like I'm going to try them on all the time. So that was really so exciting. So I ordered this, it came, I was trying on. As I opened up the package, Kelly had included another one in pink. I was a little tempted to like maybe switch, you know, I had picked peach to pick pink, but I do like the peach. So anyway, I have this pink one. I'll show you them. And so it comes with 4 of these in there. And this is going to be the giveaway for this episode. What? I'm so excited. Episode 3. We're doing another giveaway. And this is one of those things that's like super practical. So if you're an aspiring sweater knitter, like you've never knit a sweater, like this will be so nice to get and maybe give you some confidence to try it, to knit a sweater, because you can try it on as you go. Or if you're an experienced sweater knitter, maybe you just haven't splurged on yourself yet, even though it's like something super easy to splurge on because they're not expensive. So yeah, this is the giveaway. So what question do I have for the giveaway? So any comment below will enter you for the giveaway. So you can just say hi to me. Any sort of comment will enter you. But I do have a specific wondering in case you feel obliged to answer this specific wondering. Just as you know, I have knit, well, maybe you don't know, maybe this is your first time watching this, thanks. I've knit 3 love notes, which is a sweater. It's a sweater. And I mentioned it last episode, I knit my 3rd one. My 3rd one was a slub one with no lace. My first 2 had laces, but I did them in 2 different sizes just to get a different look. So I've knit 3. And I really want to knit a 4th one. I want to knit one for Matilda, my daughter, who's 3. And I also want to knit another one for myself at some point. So that would be, I want to knit at least 2 more, so 5 love notes. So I want to knit another love note. So I'm curious if anybody would be interested in doing a knit along with me on this. I don't know, it's, you know, a new channel. I don't know if anybody would be interested in doing a knit along with me. I know people do knit alongs on other channels and it goes really well, but you know, this is a new channel. I don't know. So yeah, comment anything below to get me entered in to win these purl strings. But if it sounds interesting to you to knit a love note sweater and a knit along, like, would you be interested? I don't have any dates. I'm not setting it yet, but I'm just trying to gauge curiosity if this is something that you'd be interested in. Yeah, I think it would be fun to have community around that. If we did a knit along, I don't know if it would be something that would have prizes or not. As like I said, this is a new channel, but you know, it might be fun to do together. So let me know. Okay. I have 2 more whips to show. So the next whip that I'm going to show, my next work in progress, I have not worked on in the last month and a half. So I'm not showing it to say like, hey, this is what I did in the last 2 weeks. This is things I had worked on this summer. It's something I'd worked on this summer, but I haven't touched it recently. So I guess I'm showing it on the channel in this like hope that it'll inspire me to work on it for my next episode. It's so close to being done, which is why I want to show it. All I have left is a button band on a cardigan, essentially. Okay, I have it in this really cool bag. It's from the By the Bay yarn company. I think I've mentioned their bags before. I don't think I've shown this bag, but it's like a box thing. You just can sit on your couch really nice at night. I have like a little notion-y thing here. I have some of my ball bands. All right, I'm progressing. I've been knitting, not for a while, but I had been knitting this really beautiful sweater called the Kristylopi. It's a cardigan. And it's designed by an Icelandic knitter. In fact, the website that I purchased the pattern and the yarn from is called The Icelandic Knitter. I'll link it below. And basically I attended in November or December, I don't really remember when, I attended this virtual yarn event called Knit and Escape. And I took a class on Icelandic knitting. It wasn't a class where you did any knitting, it was more like a history class. And I wish I could pronounce her name, but I took it from her. And I'll put her name down below. And it was really inspiring, and it was a neat construction because most of the colorwork sweaters I've knit yoke down, and this is knit bottom up, and then you attach the sleeves and knit it up. And so around Christmas time, I was just sitting around thinking about this nonstop after the class, and so I ended up splurging and purchasing myself this kit. And I say splurge because it just felt like a splurge, but really it's super reasonably priced for a sweater and the quality of wool it is. So I got the exact kit here. I'll show it to you. So yeah, so it's knit bottom up, and then you attach the sleeves, which also have a little bit of color work. And I'll show you this body. So it's like kind of like pink and orange marled. Not kind of, like it is. Like here's the pink and here's the orange I used. I think I bought too much yarn. I have yeah, so, and then there's the color work. There it is. And it's knit in the round. And then when you're done knitting it, it was like all attached in the round. I used my sewing machine and sewed both sides, and I cut it, steeked it. And I was not scared about the cutting of the yarn at all. I actually did lots of swatching for this, and I don't even know. I guess I threw it away. I had tons of swatches for this because I wanted to get just the right fabric, and so I played with those and had cut them and things like that. And I felt confident that it wouldn't be as scary as it seemed. But what I was scared about was the sewing, because I'm a fairly inexperienced sewist, and it just seemed really scary to sew with the sewing machine by knitting, but it worked out really great. So it's been steeked. So as you can see, the sweater is knit, it's steeked, it's just missing the button band. And part of the holdup was I didn't have buttons. And then I bought these really neat buttons on Etsy. I had it in my head that I wanted resin pink glitter buttons. So I spent a lot of time on Etsy finding the right button. Pink glitter resin buttons. Can you see that? Okay, I found the perfect button for this. I mean, it's incredible. So I have the buttons now. This cannot take that long for me to knit the button band. And I feel motivation to finish this because I feel like where I live, this is something that could be a really nice, like almost fall jacket. And all right, let me talk about the yarn a little bit because this is a really cool sweater. So this was my first time knitting with Lopi yarn, and I'm going to apologize in advance for mispronouncing the names of these things. My understanding is this kind of yarn that has just an ever so slight twist in it. My understanding is this is called like Let Lopi. So that's what the blue part of my color work is, and what the white is. The yellow. The yellow is something a little different. It's like the Let Lopi, but it has a little bit of silk in it, so it makes it kind of shiny. All this is on the Icelandic Knitters website. And then the body. The body is knit with one of these plates of, I think you call it Lopi. Please let me know if I'm not pronouncing this correctly. And then you hold that together with this lamb's wool. Oh, that's lace weight. So it's marled. I don't know if you could tell if this is marled or not. Not really, you can't really tell. In person you can tell just ever so slightly that it's marled, but it's really cool. And, okay, Lopi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is incredible. It's fascinating because, watch this. Okay, this is Lopi. Boop. You're just gonna tear this apart. So you think to yourself, why in the world would I want to knit with something that's just gonna pull apart? The physics is fascinating here. So yeah, if you pull it just horizontally like this, it just pulls apart. But the physics of this is just so cool. So essentially, your yarn is not being pulled like this way. That's not how your knitting is. Your knitting is like a little stitch, right? Look, I'm pulling on this so hard, and it's not coming apart. There's something about the physics of the fiber that when it does this little vertical bend instead, it's locked. That's just so fascinating. And then on top of that, I'm holding the lamb's wool with it, so it's a very sturdy sweater. This was my first time knitting with like a rustic yarn for a sweater, and I am addicted. So addicted that I like kind of on a regular basis go to the Icelandic Knitter website and just like look at our kits lovingly. Like, I can't. I love it. So part of what made knitting with a rustic yarn so enjoyable is that the Lopi is really soft. But it does have an ever so, like if you're used to knitting with superwash merino, like yeah, this will feel maybe a slightly rougher to you. But anytime my hands were dry or I had hangnails and it was like kind of like a little tougher to knit with this, all I would do is use one of those lotion bars. And this is the Serious Lotion Bar, which I purchased from Kelly at Le Mountain Rouge Knittery. I think I mentioned this brand before. They're handmade out of Jacksonville, Illinois. This particular scent, I don't even know what it is. But it smells really, it smells like vanilla-ish. Oh, almond marshmallow. It's so good. So I would put that on my hands, and this was like my happy space knitting this. I really enjoyed it. And so that's why I'm like, why have I not finished it? It was such a joy. And I remember like purposely trying to knit it slow, actually, if that makes any sense. Do you ever do that with your knitting? Where you just like want to enjoy the project longer? Because it's knit at a large gauge, so you could just whip through the sweater really quick if you wanted. But I remember being like, no. Resist the urge to do that, just enjoy it. Because with the season that it was, I knew I wasn't going to wear it. Like, I'm not going to wear this over the summer. So anyway, I'm so excited. This is going to be amazing. Yeah, so I mean, not a lot of creativity there on my end. I got this exact color scheme. When you know, you know, and I knew I would love it. If I knit another one, which maybe I will because it was a joy. If I knit another one, I think I would knit it a size larger, just for a different look, to have like more of like a baggier, like looser fitting, more positive sweater. And there's positives on this, but just not a lot, especially in the arms for me. And I don't think the arms were supposed to have positives, to be honest. And so, yeah, but it fits. Oh, I forgot to mention a couple things here. New techniques I did on this. I did short row shaping in the elbows. So one of the things I learned in the class I took is that that's how kind of historically some of the Icelandic sweaters are done, because that would be one of the first things we were out. So I did short row shaping in the elbows. The other new technique I did for me, which I thought about maybe making a tutorial video on, which is I did something called a short purl, which is your purl width. I don't know if this is gonna make any sense, but if your purl width, when you're doing ribbing, knit to, purl to, ribbing, when you take your yarn, if you're knitting English style, like throwing, and you put your yarn in front from knitting to purling, the size of that purl going from a knit stitch to a purl stitch is not the same size purl as going from a purl stitch to a purl stitch. I don't know. And so since your purls are different sizes, it can make your ribbing look like sloppy. And so I wanted to try a short purl so that my ribbing was really clean and tidy, and it looks that way. So those are two new things for me. I guess three new things. So I did steeking, short row elbows, and then a short row or short purls. So I learned a lot with this. Steeking was really neat. I can't wait to do it again, which means that you can steek with a superwash wool, but I don't think it will be as lovely as an experience as with rustic wool, because the rustic wool just is sticky. And so I need to knit another rustic wool sweater. All right. My fourth whip is something I have worked on. I didn't put a progress keeper in, but I know I had made significant progress on it. I thought I would be done. It's my pencil socks. I showed this half object last week, my pencil sock, and I really thought I'd be done with it this week, and I'm not, but I still have time. Basically, I'm knitting these for two knit-alongs. One is the summer sock camp with Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady, and I think I have until August 31st to finish that for her. So for her, like for the Magic Loop cabin. And so I'd really like to do that, to make that August 31st deadline for this. And I think I can. And because I'm pretty close to putting in some scrap yarn for a short row heel, and then this is a little shorty cuff, so it seems possible. And these are the Make Your Mark sock pattern, the Make Your Mark sock pattern and sock kit from Purl and Postulates. And yeah, I talked about these last episode, and I'm really enjoying them, even though I didn't finish them. I'm a very slow sock knitter, and that's okay. When you knit a lot, sometimes you're in a lot of different projects. Sometimes you're not going to finish things all the time very fast, and that's okay. So I'm doing also, besides the summer sock camp, I'm also doing Yarnia sock bingo, and you can get your bingo card from their website, which is Shop Yarnia, and you just put it in your cart and you check out, and it looks like you're gonna have to make a purchase, but you don't. And then it just checks out free of charge, and you don't even have to put your credit card or anything. But I think you enter your information so that you can like win things, which I did. I'll show that in my stash enhancements. But I haven't finished my bingo card, but I should actually finish it soon. I have one more sock to kind of fill in some squares for, and so I should have a bingo. And when you get your bingo card there, it also comes with directions, and basically you need to knit 5 socks, and I have knit since June 1st. So I have knit 4 socks since June 1st, and this one's my 5th. So I've knit a self-striping do-si-do, which I showed in episode 1. And I think also in episode 1, I showed my first scrappy socks, which are sort of a plain vanilla sock. I knit those on 9-inch needles. And then these I'm knitting with magic loop, toe up. So I was trying different things. And so these will be my 5 socks. And you have until December 31st for this knit along, so it's not too late to join. And I love that it's kind of a slower knit along, like honoring that we can be slow. I think that's nice. So yeah, I enjoyed that also about the summer sock camp. It was just, you had the whole summer to decide what you wanted, even if you just knit a whole pair of socks in the summer. Like, that's amazing. You have a pair of hand knit socks. And although I know some people knit a lot of socks for the summer sock camp, which is so neat. And I also just got some colored pencils out and was like coloring my squares and just trying to enjoy the process. So those are my 4 whips. And of the 4 whips, I was, to be honest, I was just mostly working on the sweater and the sock, a little swatch, and my hopes to finish my beautiful Kristylopi. It's out in public now, so hopefully we'll make it happen. All right, I'm gonna go get my tea now. All right, I'm back with my tea, my sip sip knit segment, my hopeful segment. I want to make it a hashtag too, sip sip knit, so it's a little scattered because I'm just bringing the tea mid episode here. But David's Tea peanut butter cup for the win. I had a few people reach out to me that tell me that they love the s'mores chai from David's Tea. I too love it. I have like 10 ounces of it. It's amazing. So I have to know, my tea drinkers out there, do you add cream to your coffee? I mean your tea. I definitely add cream to my s'mores chai, and I also definitely add a little bit of cream to my peanut butter cup. It's just something like really like cozy about having like the chocolate and like with the cream. I love it. Okay, so I wanted to say cheers to no finished objects and all the whips. That was my hope. So one of the reasons why I have my segment that I'm going to enter here called Well-Worn Knits is so that I can still show you some knitting without the pressure of feeling like I have to finish all the things. So I'm going to show you 2 sweaters today. And I decided on my sweater continuum to pick something early in my sweater making career and something later in my sweater knitting career. And I also decided to pick some non-pink sweaters. So that was my constraints in picking my 2 sweaters that I wear frequently, is something old, something new, and not pink. Okay, so my first sweater I ever made was when I was a junior in college. So 2003, 2004, somewhere in that time frame. This is before Ravelry. I mean, I don't actually know when Ravelry started, so it's before my use of Ravelry. This is before I even really used the internet for knitting at all. And this is when I bought most of my yarn at Michael's, which is great. And I knit this sweater out of Brand Homespun. which I went on the website last night, it still exists. So even though I knit this out of a type of yarn from Lion Brand in 2003, 2004, they still have it. I don't think they have this exact colorway. I could not find the colorway that looked exactly like this, but I did find a colorway that looks close to this, which is called Tudor. So I knit this sweater in pieces. I explicitly remember knitting this in pieces because I also knit with straight needles at the time. I didn't knit with circular needles. So I was knitting it in pieces and I seamed it. And this is my sweater that I did not swatch for, yet it fit me. And it still fits me and I wear it. And I love it. It's, you know, I'm a professor. I think it looks very like, I don't know, academic. I love it. I think it's cozy. It's a little nerdy. I love it. And my husband doesn't though, but it's just funny because he actually teases me. He calls it my dirty rainbow sweater, which I mean, I can sort of see, but I'm not sad about it. Actually, one time I put it on and he was like, oh, wearing the dirty rainbow sweater. And then I went to Starbucks and the barista at Starbucks was like, I love your sweater. I was like, thank you. I made it. Actually, I don't know. I might put it on for you. It, you know, obviously it doesn't fit the same as it did. You know, I made it in 2003, but it still fits and so cute. Especially if I put on like my like glasses. You know, what? Look at this. So cute. I love it. I love it so much. So I think sometimes we see a lot of people knitting with these like hand-dyed yarns, and that's amazing. I love knitting with hand-dyed yarns, as you can see, and it's so awesome to support indie dyers. But it's also, I think this is a nice testament that like just because you buy your yarn, you know, not from a hand dyer, like maybe you buy a more commercial yarn, that doesn't mean it's not going to create a beautiful product, and it doesn't mean it's not going to be something that you're not going to love for years and years. Like I mean, that's quite a while ago, 2003, 2004, and I still wear it and I still love it, and I'm so proud of it, even though it's my very first sweater I ever made. So what pattern did I use? I have no idea. I remember the pattern was something that my mom was also knitting. And I feel like it had a hood and like a little pouch, like a sweatshirt, and like drawstrings. And I remember being like, I don't want this. I don't want the drawstrings. I don't want the hood. I basically didn't want any of the stuff on it. I just wanted like a bare bones plain sweater. And so for a first sweater, when I think about it, I sure did a lot of modifications to this thing. And like I even modified the neckline. I feel like the neckline was rolled or something and I didn't want that. And so this is like a crocheted collar. I did do kind of a rolled cuff thing. So here it is. My first sweater I ever made, and I still wear it. I mean, in truth, the first sweater I ever made was probably for my American Girl doll. But this is the first sweater I ever made for myself. Alright, this sweater that I'm going to show you is called the Misurina Tee from Boyland Knits, and I knit it last summer. It's a really cropped, cute little number. So when I decided to knit the Misurina Tee, I remember wanting to just pull from my stash. And so I had 2 hanks of Madelinetosh's Candlewick, the Madelinetosh Light in their colorway Candlewick. And I did not have a contrasting hank to go with it. But I did have some mini skeins, and I discovered I had 2 or 3 mini skeins. I think they're called unicorn tails from Madelinetosh in a colorway called Cousteau. and because I had bought them at different times, they weren't really close in the same tonal color, but that was okay. And so I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but what I did was I lined them up from darkest to lightest. So for the yoke, I used a mini skein, and I picked the darker one to put up top, and then the lighter, and eventually transitioned to the lighter mini skein on the bottom. And so in person, it kind of is a little bit of a gradient from this dark to light teal. And one of the things that was really attractive to me about the Misurina tee is that there's like a lot going on, kind of like visually, like a lot of techniques, but done in a simple way. So it's just simple circular yoke, if you've ever done a yoke sweater, but there's lace, cables, and color work together in the same pattern. And I was like, I've never knit a sweater that's lace, cables, color work in the same pattern. I have to do this. And so, yeah, I did. And if you're an adventurous beginner, I actually think you could handle this as a first sweater if you really wanted, if you're an adventurous beginner. Or this would be a good second sweater. And the other neat thing with the pattern is it gave you some options for the body. You could do an eyelet sort of situation. I did purl bumps instead, and I did purl bumps because I didn't want any holes in the body part. Although I really don't know why, because I've seen people with the eyelets with the holes in the body part and it looked really nice, but maybe I'll try this on. I think one thing I enjoy about Madelinetosh light yarn is the drape that it offers. It's an incredible drape. So this is a pretty crop sweater, and I really, every time I've worn it with a skirt. I don't think I've ever worn it with pants or jeans, so this is it on. And so that you can see the lace there. Anyway, I really like this pattern a lot. I really like this garment a lot. I think it looks so neat with a skirt, and it would look nice with jeans too. I just had my knit last summer. I've only had it in my wardrobe for a year, and so I have a nice skirt that's striped that I wear it a lot with. It has some long floats in it. Maybe I'll show you some floats. I think some people like to catch their floats. I am not one of those people. And it doesn't bother me. I think some people are like, if I don't catch my floats, it'll snag. I've never had any issues with it. One of the things I don't enjoy about catching floats is that depending on the yarn, you can see where it's caught. And so when I decide to not catch a float, it's usually because like rationalize it to myself as I'm like, well, if you're not catching it, it's leaving extra drape, and who doesn't want a drapey crop sweater? So I know people feel differently about that, but that's the cool thing about making your own garment is you can do what you want to do. If you want to catch those floats, you can catch them, and if you don't have to. Okay. For my dream knitting segment, I have wanted to do a test knit for a long time. And before I had a YouTube channel, I had applied for 2 test knits with 2 different designers, and they were actually sweaters. And I wasn't selected, and I remember feeling a little bummed out about it, but I thought, that's okay. Like, I've never test knit before. It can be risky perhaps to pick somebody who you don't know how they're gonna post it, you don't know if they're gonna finish it, and so that's okay that I wasn't picked. I mean, I was bummed, but I get it. And so because of putting myself out there and with having a channel, I've started to make friends. And so another internet friend I made is Annie Juti. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. She's a Finnish knitter and designer, and she does amazing color work, and I love her podcast. I feel like we're friends, and that we would just have a blast knitting together. And so she posted on Instagram that, you know, if you're interested in test knitting, to reach out to her. So I did, and because I had been rejected, you know, from test knitting 2 other times, I was like kind of nervous to do it. But she reached out to me and said I could do it. And it's the perfect first test knit. It is a child's hat. Well, she said I could do a newborn's, what was open by the time I contacted her was a newborn, a child, or adult large. So I chose no. She said a newborn, a baby, or the size large was open when she contacted me. So I chose the baby. I don't have a baby, but I have a friend who recently had a baby. So I was like, I'll knit my friend's baby a hat. So I went through my stash and I found this Rowan worsted, and it's a really kind of heathery aqua color. I think it'll be great for a hat. And it's called the Rusco beanie. And I know there's a lot of, like, you know, beanie patterns out there, but what really caught my eye about this one was, well, I thought that the decreases and the crown looked really tidy. And then the other thing I really liked, I'm going to try and see if I can show it to you without giving away all the pattern. The other thing that was really neat is this folded brim. Like, it was a really thick folded brim, and I thought that looked really modern. So anyway, I'm really excited about this. So I haven't cast it on yet, but I'm going to probably, like, this week. The test knit is due September 12th, and I think that's really doable. And I'm just really excited because I think it's just an excellent first test knit, like a hat. It's a small project, and I can make the deadline, and I can give good feedback on it because I've made lots of hats. So anyway, I'm really excited. All right, next I'm going to talk about stash enhancements and also personal stuff. So if you're not into stash enhancements or personal things, and this is the end of the episode for you, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. All right, stash enhancements. As I indicated, I'm participating in the sock bingo through Yarnia. And there's 2 ways you can participate. You can participate on Ravelry, and you can also participate on Instagram. I actually think you have to read the directions. I think you have to enter your finished bingo card on Ravelry, but I'm thinking you'll have to get the directions. But it seems like they're drawing one winner from Instagram and one winner from Ravelry each month. And I was the winner from Instagram from making a post about it, and they contacted me, and the package came right away. So that's their orange logo, and they have matching sultanas. How cute is that? And I got to pick this cotton blend yarn. There was, like, I don't know how many colors, 6 or 8 or something like this. And so I picked the color Orchid, which is this pink with, like, darker pink flecks, and I think it's really neat. I've never made socks out of a cotton blend. Pure cotton can, like, really, like, hurt my hands if I'm knitting with it too much, but I'm thinking this might be different since it is a blend and it feels really soft and springy. So I'm excited to try that. Oh, I'll show the type of yarn it is. It's 100 grams. I said it was a blend. Yeah, so 90% cotton and 10% polyester. As I mentioned, I did make a purchase from my friend Kelly's yarn store when I purchased these tubes to try my garment on. And this wasn't the only thing I purchased. I decided to get more Judy's Mint. Are you tired of seeing this Judy's Mint at this point? Hopefully not, because it's amazing. Basically, this is fingering weight, and what I showed you was worsted, so it's different. The reason why I got fingering weight is I was thinking, I just really like this colorway, and it might be really nerdy to want to have matching socks with my sweater, but I don't care. I'm here for it. So I want matching socks with Christmas socks with my sweater. I might not finish these in time for Christmas. Maybe I'll be knitting these on Christmas. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it next year, but I definitely eventually want to have matching socks with my Christmas sweater, so I thought that would be cool. The other thing I got was another bag. Do you feel that way when you buy bags? Like, another bag. But I don't need another bag, but I felt like I needed to get this because the artwork is just beautiful. So it's a tote bag, and it's the songbook collection. And so it says, "This is my story, this is my song, praising the Savior all day long." And I just think it's really beautiful. And then it actually has it on the other side as well. So I don't know. I think it's this handle that's a bit thicker. So I don't have a tote bag like this. I've never had a tote bag that has this kind of thick handle like this. So I actually might not use this for knitting, even though I bought it from a knitting store. So, okay, I'm not sure if you heard the dog barking in the background. That's my neighbor dog named Randall. Okay. The last thing I got from Kelly is this kind of kit, a sewing kit. So I am a beginning sewist. I definitely have a lot of like sewing aspirations. I don't necessarily follow through on them. It's hard to teach yourself new things. And yeah, I definitely this fall, like I have some hopes to sew a shirt for myself and finish a dress for Matilda that I'm making her. And now I'll add this to my list, which is this very cute like rainbow pouch. And so it comes with the fabric to essentially cut out the pouch. It doesn't come with a zipper, so you just need to buy the zipper yourself. And then make this very cute little rainbow pouch, which I was thinking I could use as like a notions pouch or something if I should make it. Hopefully I'll make it. So those are my stash enhancements, and now it's full personal, non-knitting. And so if you're not here for personal things, again, thank you for supporting the channel. So the Friday that I uploaded my episode 2, that Friday was sort of like before one of my professor friends was going back to teach. And so she has a 5-year-old and I have a 3-year-old. So we took our children together on the Willamette River, which is near where I live. And we brought our stand-up paddle boards and our children, and we went stand-up paddle boarding. And it was really like empowering to do that like by myself without my husband, and like know that like we were having like this fun bonding experience together, just the two of us. And yeah, we spent the entire day. We skipped nap time, everything, and we just had fun out on the stand-up paddleboard. I didn't really go up and down the river a ton. Like really, we just kind of would go up a little ways, float down, go up a little ways, float down. But it was just really fun to be on the water. We did fall in a couple times, but we were wearing life jackets, and I would grab her and just pop her back on the paddleboard or one time we both fell off and we just grabbed and floated and crawled back on, and it was really fun. I got her own little paddle, so that was really cute. And then over the past 2 weeks, there's been a lot of swim lessons. So we take Matilda to swim lessons a lot. Like she probably swims about like 5 days a week, which sounds like a lot, but she has a lot of energy and she really likes swimming. And so, yeah, so we did a lot of swim lessons and it's been really fun. I enjoy watching her swim, and that's actually when I would work on my sock on the side, watching her. I don't really sock knit outside of like things like meetings or engagements. So I think that's part of the reason why I'm slower at sock knitting. So then, as I mentioned before, I'm a professor, and this year I had the awesome opportunity to be on sabbatical, which is some rest, and it's also research. You work on a research project and you have more flexibility in your schedule. And so because there's more flexibility in the schedule, like when I do my research and things, I decided that when everybody was going back from meetings, when my colleagues were going back from meetings, that I wanted to do something special to kind of celebrate being on sabbatical. So I decided to take Matilda to the Oregon Zoo. So we have a Oregon Zoo membership and we do go to the zoo a lot, but I've never driven to the zoo by myself. And I've never taken Matilda to the zoo on my own with nobody else. And so I felt a little nervous about it. But again, it was just this very empowering mother moment where I like drove to the Oregon Zoo by myself, did the parking meter by myself, like got Matilda in her wagon and like did all the things completely by myself with Matilda, and it was incredible. I'm so glad we did it, and we just really had a special time, the two of us. And there's like a mile train that you can kind of ride. It's like a half scale to a regular train, modeled after a train that ran in Portland in like 1958, I think. And we did a train ride and enjoyed the animals. And whenever we go to the zoo, I pack a lunch, and so we just eat the lunch that I've brought with us. And so yeah, it was really fun. So after that, it was my birthday weekend. So last weekend was my birthday weekend, and I turned 38. And so Friday was the day before my birthday, and Matilda had her first dance recital. It was outside with COVID and everything. They were trying to be safe, so everybody was wearing masks, and it was outside, so you can socially distance, and good airflow. And so yeah, so her recital was just really sweet because she's 3 in this like tap ballet class, and they wore their ballet slippers and they did a dance that was called like the teddy bear parade, where they kind of danced with their teddy bear. And Matilda really didn't dance when she got on stage. She just got up on stage and like she's like one of those humans that like needs to soak things in. And I really appreciate that about her. And so I just thought it was really neat that she went up there and she tried, and it didn't matter to me that she didn't dance. And I think there were some people sitting around me that like didn't know that she was my daughter, I suppose. And so they were like, look at that little girl, she's so confused. And I was like, she's not confused, like she's just 3 and like soaking up this moment, like what's going on. She's just like one of those people that needs to like understand the situation first. And I was thinking it's really brave to go up there and dance, but it's also really brave to go up there and not dance and just to be there, even if she didn't get on stage. And so anyway, I was really proud of her, and she was so cute when she got off the stage. She said, I did the dance recital, and she did. And so that was really so cute. As soon as her dance recital was over, we drove out to Pacific City to celebrate my birthday. Pacific City is a city on the coast here in Oregon, and it has gorgeous beaches. And I'm, I feel really blessed in the sense that like when we went, my friend Brenda, she let us stay at her beach house, and I feel like that is just so generous and very sweet, and saves our family money from like paying for hotel and things like that. And so yeah, she let us stay at her beach house, and so we spent the night there Friday night and Saturday night, and went to the beach like 2 or 3 times each day. And it was beautiful. And so we went and we found starfish and anemones, and Matilda ran around on the beach, and I did a little bit of knitting on the beach actually. And if you are wondering, like, how do you knit on a beach? You just bring your knitting and hope for the best. I know sometimes we want specific like advice on how you beach knit, but it's like, just do it. Just have fun. It's sand. It'll shake out. I brought the same basket that I knit in my house with out on the beach. And yeah, so that was really cool. And so my husband got me a gift for my birthday. And then one of my friends got me a gift for my birthday. And it was the same gift. And to me, I think that was just like so beautiful that like they know me that well that they both thought that this gift would like scream me, and I'm kind of building this up. It's a non-knitting thing. I guess what I want to know, are there any other Lego builders that are knitters out there? Like, let me know. I love Legos. And I also love Disney and like Winnie the Pooh, and so does Matilda. And so my husband got me this Winnie the Pooh Lego set for my birthday. It's so cool. It's so cool. Oh, the little light is popping up on here. Well, my friend also got me this Lego set for my birthday. So I have these two Lego sets. Lego company, like, because I have to return the other one. I don't have to, but I mean, like, it seems like I'm going to return the second one. And they thought it was really cute story that like two people got me the same Lego set. So I don't know if you can see this. I haven't opened it up yet. I don't know what I'm waiting for. Maybe I'll start that tonight with Matilda. I was thinking it would be really, it is huge. And you know, what is the age on this? It's not appropriate for my 3-year-old, I'm supposing, because it says 18 plus. But we do these kinds of Lego kits with her. Like she's built like this like cool car, like maybe I'll show it sometime on the channel, but she like built this car with Kyle. Like she obviously like has, you know, she's 3, so like there's some motor skill things that she needs to work on, but she loves doing it with us. And yeah, so anyway, I think this will be really fun for us to do together. It was such a good birthday gift. And I'm only sharing that birthday gift because I thought it was really cute that like both of them, 2 people in my life that know me, like got me the same gift. So I think part of the reason why I didn't really get a finished object done this week is because in the midst of starting this channel and doing things, I am on sabbatical, but that means that I need to do research. And so I've been working on a couple large research projects right now as part of my work. And one of the things I'm working on has a September 3rd deadline, which is next week. And so that's really drawn a lot of my attention, honestly, is towards those projects, but particularly this one that has a deadline next week. And so sometimes when you have other things going on, there's going to be less knitting, and that's okay. I just feel like life is full of seasons. So there's weeks and days and months where there's a lot of knitting, and then there's weeks and days and months where there's not a lot of knitting. I definitely knit every day, but you know, how much every day, that can vary. Maybe I'm only getting a half hour, an hour in at night. Or maybe I'm getting 2 hours in a day or more. It just, life is life. And I just think it's the best when you can just like go with it, go with the flow. Well, thank you for joining me here today. Again, I just honestly cannot thank you enough for the support of this channel. It really means the world to me. So just a reminder, you can enter a giveaway for this episode, which is these pearl strings. They're called pearl strings, but essentially it's these cords to try on your garment. All you need to do is subscribe, subscribe and enter a comment below, and that'll enter you in a drawing. And Melanie, don't forget to reach out to me. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today.